Hi, good morning, guys. It's been a little while since I've done, a video with the voiceover. I've been kind of sick, so that's why I haven't been doing them. But today I did record this whole live session, but it's just way too long to post. I feel like it's just gonna be too boring. I mean, I started recording like around here, yeah, about a whole hour, and there's no commentary. I'm just typing on the screen and whatnot, but I'd rather just give you guys a breakdown. It'll be like a quick 5 minute video of like what exactly my thought process was going into the market today and what my bias was. I had a bullish bias going into the market just because we hadn't taken this high on NQ. However, it was an S&T with ES, so it was something to keep in mind just in case we were going to, start heading lower, maybe to some internal sell side. But this high had already been taken, and this high had already been taken. So these are the highs that I have marked here that are barely going to be taken on NQ. Um, but yeah, so that's what the target was, and the bias was bullish for these highs. However, today we had a pretty slow move, which is expected. I mean, it's Thanksgiving week. Markets are going to be closed tomorrow. I'm not expecting a lot. Honestly, I was not going to trade today, but I hopped on and I wanted to see what opportunities were presenting itself. Top step was down, so I couldn't even trade my 5 Express accounts over there, and so I only ended up trading my live account. But let me show you guys what I did here. So as we open, market starts kind of chopping a little bit, chopping up. This induced a lot of people into taking shorts here. They thought that was going to be the S&T that holds, which is valid if that's your model. But for me, again, my bias is bullish, so I saw this as more of an inducement. Um, but I was not willing to take a trade within this section of the range. Then we saw a displacement, not displacement, but a trickle up higher, and we inversed this, and then we ended up taking this high again. So my interest is not necessarily wanting to take a long now. I want to see some type of manipulation. So I'm looking at these lows here, and I'm looking at the lows on ES, which are right here, the same lows. But I like them on NQ, and I like that we have an hour below, and we have these unmitigated 5 minute PD arrays pre-market coming in from previous sessions. So then we come down, we manipulate these lows. Once we manipulate these lows, my intention is strictly on seeing some type of displacement higher. I am paying attention to this 5 minute sell side imbalance, just in case we are going to be going lower to these lows and heading lower to other sell side liquidity. Then those would be the targets. But for me, again, I'm bullish, so I wouldn't be interested in this. So as soon as we see this reaction here, we put in an SMT, right? And we displace from the 5 minute from previous session, and then we go ahead and start displacing higher. So this reaction is okay. If we go to the 1 minute, there is a fair value up there. Very not my cup of tea for rally up. So I wait. I didn't like this reaction here. We did inverse technically. Comes down. If your stop was at the SMT low, then you would have been fine. But then we have this displacement out of here using the same 5 minute fair value gap as confluence, same 1 hour with the same bullish bias. I really like this right here. Not only have we created an order block, we've displaced through, created a fair value gap, two fair value gaps. My entry is at the fair value gap here, the lower fair value gap. We measure that on the Fibonacci. Here you are. Why this fair value? Because it's below the 50% range of this expansion leg. Then we start trickling downwards. I'm entering here. I'm okay with the consolidation. I see it as accumulation or accumulating orders to displace higher. But now, as we start accumulating, you got to keep in mind, anytime we accumulate, we have to expect some form of manipulation, either lower or higher, depending on what the trade is. In this case, we want a manipulation lower to head higher. So we start seeing market trickle down, do this, and we're just moving sideways. Now here I'm expecting some type of manipulation, but I do acknowledge that this low can be taken. Why? Because technically my stop should be here, but I didn't want to allow that much risk. That would have been a little bit more risk, and I was only willing to give it that much because I did want to see the move start here. Now, keeping that in mind, I did want to just see this low taken and then see a reaction out of there. So we did take this low here, and then we had a nice green candle at one point, and then we just, at this point, once we wake this, then I'm already ready to take the stop. And then I'm pretty much done for the day after this, because I'm like, yeah, I could have kept my stop down here, and this would have been perfect. Why here? Because this is the higher time frame SMT, right? This is what started creating our idea to start looking at the lower time frames to enter a trade. Whether it's here, put your stop here, or whether it's here, you put your stop here. But realistically, the stop should have been here. So that was my mistake. Now, as soon as I see this taken out, I'm pretty much done for the day. I'm not really expecting much. I entered with only 2 micros, and then I go ahead and get taken out here. If I'm going to re-enter, why am I re-entering here? Because we swept this, creating another SMT on the 1 minute, and we're still holding the same idea, the same narrative. We displace higher, same model presents itself. So I go ahead and enter again with half the size, 1 micro, to make my loss back and some. I would just be happy with breaking even at this point. So yeah, that's what happened. So we entered again. Why here? We have a breaker, we have a displacement, and I like that the 5 minute is displacing higher, right? Creating structure on the 5 minute. That looks really, really good. And then we continue to displace higher, creating another breaker on the 5. And yeah, so I'm in this trade here. Once I start seeing this high taken here, my stop goes to break even. So I put my stop at break even just because I had already taken a loss. I'm trying to manage risk a little bit more aggressively today, given that it's Thanksgiving week. Tomorrow the market's closed. I'm expecting price action to be a little bit tougher, but doesn't mean it's not tradable. So we expand higher, and then we start having this down move. This is totally permissible, given that we're not always going to go straight up. Sometimes we do, but in most cases, market will have some type of manipulation to take out traders before heading in the direction that you want. Now, my stop is here. Yes, it could have came down and swept this and tapped and went one more time higher, but we do have confluences on the 5 minute that did help this trade. We have a 5 minute sell side imbalance. I got inversed and disrespected, so this becomes now your inverse for rally gap. We had a small 5 minute, which really gave me that calmness per se in this trade, like not really worrying about this. And even if it stopped me, I'll break even. I still had, confidence that it would head higher. But once we do this, we come down, we tap the order block, and then we don't take my stop by like a point or two. Then we start displacing higher. This is expected. So once I see a fair value gap here, I'm very interested. If the market conditions weren't like this, and if I hadn't taken a loss, I would have added another contract here, and then that would have brought my average to like somewhere around here. Stop still would have been below the low, and the new trade would have looked a little something like this. But again, I had already taken a loss, so I have to keep that in mind. It's not just all about making money. It's about following your plan and making sure that your system stays intact when you're trading, and especially when you're getting back in after taking a loss. But again, I only got back in because the same idea was still in play. The same bias, the same narrative. This SMT held, and I told myself this SMT holds and we get an obvious setup, I'm taking it again with half the size, and I'm managing your risk accordingly. So then we see displacement come down again, almost took me out. Here would have been another opportunity to get in. And then now I'm just expecting bullish PD race to start holding and displacing us higher. As you can see, we had a high resistance liquidity run. Not really clean, but we are respecting a bullish PD race. This sell side imbalance gets inverse, then is used as a form of support to head higher. And yeah, so we just continue to displace slowly higher. I took my trade off here because that's when we swept this high and we created the could be an SMT, but I just prefer to take my trade off there once the other opposite indice has taken that. Yes, my target is ultimately up here, but at the end of the day, I've taken a loss. I've gotten myself another opportunity to make that loss back in some, and I have to be able to manage risk. I can't look at things in a money perspective. I need to make more money or whatever the driver is. It should always be, this is my system and this is how it plays out. I'm going to stick to that. And yeah, so, and I ended the day here, and that's pretty much it. I'm definitely not going to be trading anymore, calling it a day. But just wanted to give a quick recap because I did record the whole session, but I was not, unfortunately, my mic was not working. So it wasn't giving any voiceover whatsoever. So I was just typing it up. But did want to give a quick review on that. If you guys have any questions on this, shoot me a DM or comment below. But appreciate your guys' time. Have a great day. Happy Thanksgiving, and no trading until next week for me. But have a wonderful day.